Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. We don't like the Dursleys, and the reason we dislike them is due to their monstrous treatment of Harry. After all, if it weren't for that, we might simply feel sorry for Dudley at most and move on. But their senseless punishments and the fact that, despite having 4 bedrooms in the house, Harry still lived in a cupboard under the stairs, make us genuinely indignant. This is all true and has its place. But how about the hypothesis that, had Harry lived with James and Lily, he wouldn't have had an entirely happy life either? Does that sound implausible? Let's explore this today. So, the Dursleys are indeed unpleasant characters, but it's undeniable that they shaped Harry into who he became. Modest, responsive to requests, valuing friendship and kindness, defending those who suffer from injustice, all these traits stem from his own experience of being bullied by his cousin. Had he grown up with Lily and James, he would have been the son of wealthy and well-known wizards, potentially becoming the very Potter seen by Snape and Draco Malfoy, though Harry in the original series clearly isn't that. In fact, it's quite possible that Harry might have even resembled Draco in some ways. Now, let's consider this from an unusual perspective by focusing on James, specifically his school years. We start by recalling that in almost all youthful memories, James isn't depicted in the best light. We also know that he was a smart and talented young man, likely spoiled by parental attention and love, in addition to being their long-awaited and only child. James takes care of his appearance, wanting to look good, which is why he constantly ruffles his hair with a careless gesture. He's arrogant and loves attention, which was probably why Lily was cold towards him for a long time. At the same time, James is a strong and talented wizard. He participated in creating the Marauder's map, became an animagus while still in school, played Quidditch excellently, and was a prefect. Interestingly, the only explanation given for why Lily ended up with James is that by their 7th year, James mended his ways, stopped being so arrogant and self-important, which led Lily to see new qualities in him. So, why bring this up? Doesn't it seem that if Harry had grown up with Lily and James, he might have had a high chance of following a similar path? Consider the similarities. Harry is also the son of wealthy and talented wizards, plays Quidditch well, and could quickly gain success and popularity due to his talent. However, what Harry would undoubtedly lack is the understanding of what it means to be oppressed and bullied. This experience is precisely what defines the current Harry, reflecting his inner essence and character traits. A prime example is his first meeting with Ron. Harry grew up knowing what it means to have nothing of his own. Then on the train, he meets Ron and realizes that Ron, from a poor family, also can't afford much. Hence, Harry is not only willing, but eager to share everything he has at that moment, because for the first time in his life, he has something and someone to share it with. Another example is Draco Malfoy, who, like Ron, is heading to Hogwarts for the first time and is the same age as Harry. But from the very first moments, Draco does not appeal to Harry. Why? Because Draco reminds Harry of his cousin Dudley. One bold hypothesis is that if Dudley hadn't been in Harry's life, Harry and Draco might have become friends. In the actual story, despite Draco's extensive knowledge of the wizarding world, which Harry is eager to dive into, and despite Draco's attempt to strike up a conversation, Harry doesn't want to continue talking to him because of his strong aversion, shaped by his experiences with Dudley. If Harry hadn't had the experience of living with the Dursleys, his interaction with Draco might have been different. But Harry knows what it means to be treated disdainfully, which is why Malfoy's words about Hagrid sting so much. So he avoids conversing with Draco and immediately feels a sense of rejection, ultimately refusing to befriend him. In a way, we face a contradiction. Despite the dreadful time Harry spent with the Dursleys, this very experience shaped him into the person who ultimately defeated the darkest wizard of modern times. Harry became who he is, someone who sacrificed his life for those he loves, taking Voldemort's Avada Kedavra in the Forbidden Forest, Deathly Hallows events. Now imagine a different scenario. The Dursleys raise Harry the same spoiled way they raised Dudley, and then Harry discovers he's the most famous wizard in the magical world. Things would have gone differently. I can almost see the first encounter with Draco. Your father, you say? Who's going to listen to your father when I'm Harry Potter, the Harry Potter? And he might have ended up in Slytherin instead of Gryffindor, and we all know the crucial role Gryffindor played in Harry's life. This brings us to a logical question. Was Dumbledore right in sending Harry to live with the Dursleys? Were the Dursleys right in raising Harry the way they did? The Dursley family is more than just a bleak backdrop to Harry's childhood. These characters hold many interesting and subtle details that unfortunately didn't make it into the movie adaptations. To better understand who the Dursleys are and their impact on Harry's life, let's look at several little-known facts about them that were mentioned in the books, but not given much attention in the films. Fact number 1. Physical abuse. The Dursleys' behavior in the books and films differs significantly. In the films, their cruelty towards Harry is limited to verbal abuse and neglect. However, in the books, they display physical violence. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Uncle Vernon roughly grabs Harry by the neck and shoves him into the cupboard. Harry often has to dodge blows to avoid injury. Uncle Vernon isn't the only one who resorts to violence. Dudley, the spoiled and cruel boy, regularly hits Harry. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Dudley and his friends play a game called Harry Hunting, where Harry is the target for beatings. Harry knew the Dursleys would never protect him, so he avoided confrontations. This harsh treatment shaped Harry's character. He became cautious and distrustful. However, these trials also toughened him. At Hogwarts, he found friends and protection, which allowed him to open up. Yet, the childhood traumas remained with him, influencing his worldview and relationships. These episodes highlight how tough Harry's childhood was. He learned to hide his feelings and expect the worst from others. Despite this, he retained his capacity for compassion and friendship. At Hogwarts, he found a true family, which helped him cope with his traumas. The contrast between the books and films is evident. The films softened the Dursleys' cruelty to avoid shocking viewers. However, J.K. Rowling's books portray the harsh reality of Harry's life, emphasizing his strength and courage, making his story even more touching and inspiring. Fact number 2. They cared for Harry, only for their own protection. When Lily Potter sacrificed herself to save Harry, her love created a powerful magical protection. This protection extended to everyone living under the same roof as Harry. Dumbledore left Harry on the Dursleys' doorstep with a letter explaining that as long as Harry lived with his relatives, their home would be shielded from dark forces. Petunia, despite her hatred for magic, understood the importance of this message. Petunia agreed to take Harry in, not out of love for her sister or sympathy for her nephew. She did it for her family's safety. Petunia knew that Lily's magical protection would remain as long as Harry stayed with them. This motivated her to keep him under their roof, despite all the disdain and hatred. This protective power, given by Lily's sacrifice, was the main factor preventing the Dursleys from throwing Harry out. Petunia, although not fully understanding the intricacies of magic, knew that her family would be safe as long as Harry lived with them. It was a forced measure, dictated by fear of possible threats from the wizarding world. The contrast between the Dursleys' treatment of Harry and their own son Dudley was stark. Dudley was their golden boy, surrounded by love and care. Harry, on the other hand, was merely a burden they tolerated for their own benefit. They could never show genuine care for Harry, despite his tragic fate and constant suffering. The Dursleys never treated Harry as a member of the family. Their care was superficial and driven by fear. They never showed him the love or compassion he so desperately needed. This situation underscores their hypocrisy and cruelty. For example, in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore tells the Dursleys, "You have never treated Harry as a son. He has known nothing but neglect and often cruelty at your hands." These words highlight how far the Dursleys were from genuinely caring for Harry. This contrast is particularly evident in the Dursleys' attitude toward the magical world. Petunia didn't like or understand magic, but she knew its power protected them. She agreed to Dumbledore's conditions out of fear of what might happen if she refused. The Dursleys never missed an opportunity to show Harry that he was an unwelcome guest in their home. They constantly reminded him that he lived with them out of necessity. This created an atmosphere of constant tension and humiliation for Harry. Fact number 3. Starving Harry for 3 days. In the film Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, there's a scene where Harry is punished and locked in his room with bars installed on the windows. This moment seems quite cruel, but in the book it was even darker. In the book, Harry spent 3 days in confinement, practically without food. The Dursleys decided that this would tame him. Harry was locked in his small room and left almost without food. Petunia brought him tiny portions that could barely sustain a child. Once, she brought him just a piece of toast and a glass of water. It was a real torture for a boy who was already underfed most of his life. The punishment Harry had to endure highlights the Dursleys' cruelty. They not only deprived him of freedom, but also nearly starved him. This wasn't just a punishment for some misdeed, but a deliberate attempt to break his spirit and sap his strength. Harry was desperate and physically exhausted. The scene where Ron and the Weasley twins rescue Harry is particularly touching. They found him emaciated and weak, which only intensified their desire to help their friend. Harry was grateful for their help, understanding that he wouldn't have managed without his friends. This rescue was a true miracle for him. Comparing Harry's confinement conditions in The Chamber of Secrets, one can notice that the books convey the Dursleys' cruelty much more deeply. In the films, such moments are softened to avoid shocking viewers, but in J.K. Rowling's books, the harsh reality of Harry's life is unflinchingly portrayed. This adds more emotional depth and realism to the story. During his punishment, Harry received minimal food. Petunia brought him such meager portions that they could barely keep him going. Harry recalled how on the first day he was given 1 piece of toast and the next day only a few sips of water. This diet was insufficient and endangered his health. These scenes underscore how cruel and inhumane the Dursleys were towards Harry. They didn't think about the consequences of their actions, as long as it meant punishing him. Harry learned to survive in such conditions, but it left an indelible mark on his psyche and physical state. Fact number 4. Petunia wrote to Dumbledore. Petunia always hated magic. She considered her sister Lily strange because of her abilities. This hatred didn't arise immediately. In childhood, they were close. Lily and Petunia shared secrets and played together. But everything changed when Lily received her letter from Hogwarts. Petunia felt rejected and jealous of her sister. The story of Petunia's letter to Dumbledore reveals her true feelings. In desperation, Petunia wrote to Dumbledore, begging him to take her to Hogwarts along with Lily. She wanted to be part of the magical world, despite her words. But when Lily found out about this letter, Petunia got angry and called Hogwarts nonsense. It was her defensive reaction to the pain of rejection. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry learns about this from Snape's memories. Petunia wrote, "Please, please, take me to Hogwarts. I want to learn magic too, like my sister." This plea shows her desperation and desire to be close to Lily, but her refusal became the cause of deep resentment and jealousy. This episode reveals Petunia's true feelings towards the wizarding world. She didn't hate magic because she considered it dangerous or strange. She hated it because she couldn't be part of it. This jealousy and resentment were the reasons for her cruelty to Harry. Petunia saw in him a reminder of her own failure and disappointment. Uncovering Petunia's true feelings adds depth to her character. She wasn't just a cruel woman. She was a person who suffered from her failure and resentment. Her hatred of magic was the result of the pain of rejection. This explains why she could never accept Harry as a member of her family. Understanding Petunia's motives helps to better understand her behavior. She wasn't a monster. She was a person with a broken heart. Her attitude towards Harry and the magical world was the result of her own traumas and disappointments. This moment shows that even the most cruel people can have complex and tragic reasons for their actions. Act number 5. Giving Harry garbage as gifts. For Christmas, Harry always hoped for special gifts, but from the Dursleys he only received trash. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry received 50 pence from them. It was his first Christmas gift from them, and he immediately understood that the Dursleys would never make an effort. In subsequent years, his Christmas gifts were even more humiliating. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, he got an old handkerchief. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, he received a toothpick. Each such gift was not just cheap. It was a symbol of disdain and hatred. The Dursleys wanted to show that Harry meant nothing to them. These gifts highlighted his status as an unwanted guest in their home. Harry felt this every Christmas. Every time he opened another gift, he felt humiliated and hurt. These gifts had a deep impact on Harry. They reinforced his sense of isolation and loneliness. He understood that he would never be loved or respected in this house. However, these same gifts reminded him that he was special. Unlike the Dursleys, who were limited and cruel, he belonged to a world where friendship and kindness were valued. Analyzing the Dursleys' motives in choosing such gifts shows their deliberate intention to humiliate Harry. They could have chosen not to give him anything, but they chose to do it differently. By giving him trash, they wanted to emphasize how insignificant he was to them. It was a way to show their contempt and hatred. The Dursleys went to the effort of sending these useless items to Hogwarts. This made their act even more cruel. They wanted Harry to know that they didn't love or respect him. It was an attempt to break his spirit and deprive him of hope. Every time Harry received such a gift, he felt pain and disappointment. But at the same time, he learned to appreciate real gifts, friendship, support, and love from his friends. The Weasley family and friends gave him things that showed their care and attention. This helped him understand that there were people who loved and valued him. These small but painful humiliations left their mark on Harry's soul. He learned not to expect anything good from his relatives. He appreciated any small kindness he received from his friends. Such moments made his story even more touching and showed how important true friends were to him. Fact number 6. Petunia and Lily were once very close. Once upon a time, Petunia and Lily were inseparable sisters. In childhood, they shared secrets and played together. They were not just sisters, but also best friends. Lily always cared for Petunia, and Petunia loved her sister despite her strange abilities. This closeness was strong and deep. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Snape recalls how Lily and Petunia played together in childhood. He sees how Lily lovingly and caringly speaks to her sister. The memories also describe how Lily tried to explain magic to Petunia and calm her fears. These moments show that their bond was very strong. However, everything changed when Lily received her letter from Hogwarts. Petunia felt rejected and jealous of her sister. She wrote to Dumbledore, begging him to take her to Hogwarts along with Lily, but her request was denied. When Lily found out about this letter, she tried to calm her sister, but Petunia got angry and called Hogwarts nonsense. This was a turning point in their relationship. The break in their relationship significantly affected their lives. Lily immersed herself in the magical world, found new friends and love. Petunia, on the other hand, remained in the Muggle world, feeling betrayed and rejected. She couldn't understand or accept the world her sister had entered. This sense of betrayal and jealousy became the foundation of her hatred towards magic and everything magical. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, it's also mentioned that Lily tried to maintain contact with Petunia. She wrote her letters and tried to keep the closeness, but Petunia rejected all her attempts. She couldn't forgive her sister for being left behind. This deep sense of resentment and jealousy became the reason for her cruelty towards Harry. Memories of Lily and Petunia's childhood show how much their relationship changed. Petunia, once a loving sister, turned into a cruel woman unable to forgive. Lily, on the other hand, retained her kindness and willingness to help. This difference in character became even more evident over time. The break in their relationship also affected Lily. She always felt guilty that her sister was left behind. This feeling intensified her desire to help others and care for her loved ones. Lily became even more devoted and caring, which is evident in her relationships with friends and family. She never forgot her sister and tried to maintain the connection despite all the difficulties. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope this means you found it interesting. If so, don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel.